Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The SMG meta right now in Warzone is insanely competitive. It's been some time since we've fully gone through and broken this down, but today I wanted to break down the top 5 best SMGs that we've got after some of the recent meta updates here. So wanted to start first here on true game data and break down the best SMGs and really compare and contrast these against each other and see if we can figure out a definitive top 5. I can tell you right now, there will be a spot in number 6, number 7 that are like right there for truly breaking into the top 5. This meta right now, like I said, is so competitive. But on here, we've got the C9, a classic. The Jackal saw some nice buffs. The KSV did as well. So did the Kompakt. LC10 still kind of hanging in there. Ladra, PPSH, SAUG. When we go through 300 health combination shot TTK, you can see there is so much parity in this graph. But we got to knock this down to 5. First up, I do think an obvious choice to knock out of the top 5 is going to be the LC10, though. It's competitive enough in that first damage range, but that damage drop off is just super harsh, and that's not top 5 worthy. It's not a bad SMG by any means, but I just don't quite think it's there in that top 5. One that I think is also just right there on the border is the Jackal. I really like the buffs that this thing got. It feels so much better, right now than throughout the year where it was a little bit underwhelming here. But I mean, it's still got a slightly slower ADS time if you factor that in with its TTK. So LC10 Jackal, I think, just missed the cut there. We're down to 6 now. I mean, I think the C9's a mainstay. It's still a fantastic choice there in that first damage range. Its second damage range is not that great, but you can also push that first damage range out pretty far for an SMG, so I think that one makes the cut. The Kompakt, obviously fastest TTK, great second damage range. Ladra, same deal as well there. PPSH really just getting better and better and better. Larger extended mag now, which is fantastic. And the SAUG as well, really good range, one of the better TTKs in that second damage range. Unfortunately, this does leave out, surprisingly enough, the KSV, which does have, technically speaking, the slowest TTK in that first range. Not by much. Like, it's going to come down to, are you landing more shots with the KSV versus something else? And it's decent enough in that second damage range, but just factoring in other things, the irons, the general control and everything with some of these other choices here, I think the KSV just barely misses the cut. But like, that's how competitive this category is. There's 7, 8 SMGs that are all right there for true absolute meta contenders. But now that we've got the C9, the Kompakt, the Ladra, the PPSH, and the SAUG defined here, let's jump in game and break down the best setups for these guns. As we do so, if you enjoy the video, you find the information helpful, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you're new here, you want to ensure that each and every day you're up to date with all things going on in COD, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. So first up at number 5, I've got the PPSH. This thing is still just a little bit more awkward than the other options here with its iron sights, its muzzle flash, everything going on there. I do use the Noble Shield blueprint, which actually changes up the irons, makes them way more clean in my opinion. We just covered this in a video the other day, but this is obviously a fantastic choice. You can really spray and pray with this thing. It's gotten buff after buff after buff lately. It's a really solid SMG here. One of my favorite feeling in the game, and so much fun to run and gun with. First up, long barrel, extending out that damage range. You'll see this on basically every single setup here today. 16.5 meter effective damage range is phenomenal for an SMG. That's kind of the sweet spot for a lot of these. Vertical foregrip attacks the horizontal recoil here the most, so this pattern is going to be extremely predictable after you throw that on there. Extended 2 here, 71 round mag. This obviously got a slight buff, like a stealth buff with season 5 reloaded. Fantastic, more of a safety net there at the end of the day. I love agility stock here for the better strafe and ADS. That said, if you value a different mobility stat more, ergonomic is great, combat's great, quick draw, infiltrator, balanced. You could even use the light stock if you're big into hip fire. Like, every single stock here is good for a specific playstyle. Agility just fits mine the best personally. Then I do like recoil springs on here. The recoil is a bit more noticeable on the PPSH versus some other options here, so this to me is a solid choice. Just makes the gun again a lot more predictable at the end of the day. But yeah, the PPSH is just so much fun. This thing melts. Following that at number 4, I've got the SAUG. This thing is just another super aggressive option, so good for a run and gun play style. Close range, that first damage range, fantastic, and it's especially good in that second damage range as well, where the drop off is not super harsh, and it's got a pretty decent TTK out to 20 25-ish meters, which is really solid. Yet again, I got long barrel on here, 16.5 meter effective damage range. As mentioned, that's kind of the sweet spot here. I go for ranger foregrip in this case. The recoil here is not too bad, so I'm still getting some horizontal boost there. It's going to be easier to predict, but I'm also getting some sprinting movement speed, which on an aggressive weapon like this is just even more of a W in my opinion. Extended 2 55 rounder. I wish they would buff the size of this one like they did the PPSH. That'd be really solid, but that's sufficient for all squad sizes there. I've kind of gone back and forth with what I'm rocking for the stocks. I really do love Infiltrator for the better strafe, so I have that on there currently. Balanced stock for the better movement and everything could be decent as well. You could switch that out for a quick draw rear grip for a better ADS. If you want to go all in on control, you could use a compensator on there too. So you could really pick and choose depending on your play style, your level of comfortability with the gun. I also do go for recoil springs in this case. Never a bad option to have some free recoil control here, so I do opt for that. This gun's going to be a laser beam and also hyper aggressive. Now the C9 has seen a little bit of some nerfs recently, but it's not anything that's going to take it out of the conversation. As we saw, still a phenomenal choice. As you get into that second damage range, it's not going to be as effective as it once was, but you're primarily using SMGs ideally in that first damage range where they have like the max efficiency, right? The fastest TTKs. And this thing's still right in the mix there for sure. Long barrel on this thing gives us an 18.2 meter effective damage range. So that is absolutely fantastic here. Ranger foregrip on this one as well for the better horizontal control, then also the better sprinting movement speed. Extended to, in this case, 50 rounder. That'll work fine with the 732 RPM. No major concerns or red flags with that damage per mag stat there. I do like quick draw rear grip here, especially for that snappier ADS. Just makes this thing a lot more aggressive and obviously agile up close there. You can quickly snap from target to target with that. And then again, recoil springs just to keep things easy, just to keep things manageable on there. No cons, never a bad option to have extra recoil control in any situation. As they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The C9 is still putting in the work. Now at number 2, I've got the Ladra. This probably is my favorite feeling SMG in the game. I love this thing. It is super aggressive with its movement speed and everything going on there. Very low recoil, so it's easy to sustain accuracy as you get into the mid-range as well, where it's still very effective as we saw on the graph. And obviously, it's got a super quick TTK, so it's checking all the right boxes here. Really clean iron sights as well for those that care about that. Again, long barrel here, 16.8 meter effective damage range. So we got 0.3 extra meters up on a couple of those other SMGs there. Huge deal for sure. Ranger foregrip, yet again, mobility and added control on there. Extended to, in this case, is a 66 rounder. Nice little added safety net there. You definitely want that because this does have a 1071 RPM. This thing spits bullets for sure. And then I actually double up on mobility because I find the weapon to be pretty easy to use. I don't really need recoil springs. I don't need a compensator. I go for quick draw rear grip for that better ADS, and then infiltrator stock for that better strafe speed. So this thing is just super aggressive, still super easy to use, and it fries. You love to see it. And then lastly, here at number 1, we gotta have the Kompakt. The buff that this thing got with Season 5 Reloaded really makes this the go-to SMG because it fries. The TTK here is phenomenal. Fastest in the first damage range, fastest in the second damage range. It's pretty manageable. You just gotta get used to the control, especially with this build that goes all in on the recoil control. So you're gonna be set there. Still very aggressive. Like, it's just doing everything at a super, super high level here. As mentioned, accuracy control, it's really important with this rate of fire. You got to make your shots count because you're going to burn through ammo. So I go for the compensator on there for better vertical control, ranger foregrip on here for better horizontal and some sprinting movement speed, and then recoil springs as well. This is going to make the weapon very controllable, very predictable at any distance you're fighting with it. I do also go for extended 3 here. This is only a 60 rounder, and I say only because we got a 1091 RPM. So faster RPM than the Ladra with 6 less bullets means your DPM's a little bit concerning, but it's also going to kill players so quick that you're going to have time to reload when they're knocked or if they're spectating. Then lastly, long barrel gives us a 15 meter effective damage range, which is pretty generous considering how fast the TTK is in those first 15 meters. And then beyond that, it's still insane as well. So this SMG meta is phenomenal. There's so many good choices, even ones that just barely missed out here. The KSV, the Jackal, so good as well. The Striker could be up there with its effective range too. This SMG meta is super fun. You got a lot of good choices to choose from. Let me know your favorite down in the comments below while you're down there. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button on your way out to guarantee you're always up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.